So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our YouTube channel. And today we want to discuss 10 most important things that I have learned about the taxi business. That is the digital taxi business in Nairobi. And these 10 things that I have learned over time, some of them are out of the experience of myself driving Uber and Bolt and Litrocab in Nairobi, and other experiences. Of course, I have gained them through the discussions that I always love having with drivers. One thing that you people might not know is that before I get a driver to interview in front of a camera, the reality is that I try like 10 drivers before I get one to accept. So in addition to the one that I get to interview in front of a camera, I have offline discussions with like 9 others. So in the course of all those discussions, there are some very, very critical information that I have been able to gather about the industry. And I think that by doing this video, I could share with you some of those 10 insights that can help you understand the industry much better, just as a general public. So if you are there as a user of or a consumer of taxis, as a passenger, or maybe at some point you might be interested to come and invest, as buying a car and giving it to a person so that he can pay you a certain amount of money per day or per week. Or ultimately you can even find yourself behind the wheels and you becoming the driver on that day. So here are the 10 most critical things that I have learned over time, and this list is not exhaustive, so feel free to add anything that you have learned about the industry, that if you put it in the comment section and people read it, then they will have a better understanding of how taxi business works in Nairobi. So number one is that taxi business is one of the greatest equalizer in terms of employment. What do I mean in terms of equalizer? Because this business of taxi can be done by anyone. People with a degree, people with a PhD, people who are dropout, from secondary school, from high school, from nowhere, people who actually did not even set their foot in school at first place, so they can still come and join this industry. So how I see it is that compared to jobs in other sectors where people need to have certain levels of qualification, the only thing that you need to have in this business is just the driving license and other related papers with regard to driving. So it is an equalizer. People can come from nowhere with all manner of qualification, with all manner of gender. Of course, you have male and female, and come and drive. So there is no segregation in this industry in terms of qualification. So I see it as one of the biggest opportunity that equalizes all people regardless of their qualifications or where they come from. That is the first point. The second point is it is one of the best paying informal jobs. I know some of you might not agree with me, but a job that you can do during your own time, a job that you can call yourself self-employed if you have your own car, a job that you can choose to do during the day or during the night, and it gives you like 100K per month. I am trying to imagine of any other job that is so a bit informal like this one, where you can just even go with a vest, with a short. Sometimes some driver will drive without a shirt when it is too hot. I don't know whether you have encountered some, and still make 100K. Like, you do that job under your own conditions and you make 100K, which is the any other job that is so much informal that can give you such money. For me, the second point number 2 is that it is the best paying informal job that I have seen. Maybe there are others, but I'm not a jack of all trades, so I don't know all jobs that exist in the informal sector. But at least for the jobs I know, this is a good one. Number 3, this is the easiest job to get. I know so many people, when they want to be employed, you have to prepare your CVs, you have to go for interviews, you are not sure whether you will get that job or not. But taxi driving is a job that is there for Kenyans to take. If you want to become a taxi driver, you will become. And like any other job in this country or in this planet or in this world, you cannot guarantee yourself that you will get what you want. But becoming a taxi driver, it's something that you can get there if you want. Unless you don't want, those people who don't drive these taxis is because they don't want. That is my conclusion. If you want to become a taxi driver, you will become. I can guarantee you that. You might struggle getting a car here and there, but ultimately you will get it. Other jobs, even the jobs that pay 5,000, 10,000, they are jobs that you can work hard towards, even if they are not the best job in the world, but you will never be given an opportunity by someone to do those jobs. But for this one, if you want it, you will get it. That is point number 3. Point number 4 is the taxi business. In terms of drivers, it is like a conveyor belt. It operates through the conveyor belt model. That means cars will come in and go out. Right now, people in Kenya are complaining that there are too many cars in the market. The reality is that those too many cars will not be there forever. Cars have a definite lifespan. After 5-6 years of being on the road every day, they will be written off. They will die a natural death. They will be out of the roads. So cars will come and go. Same thing with the drivers, as we will see in the other points. This business of taxi driving, a lot of people use it as a transition profession. When you find yourself without a job, you can't drive taxi until you get another one. When young guys are finishing university and they don't get jobs immediately, they get to taxi driving, and when they get a job, they go. So what do I mean? Cars will come and go, people will come and go. So the industry will always be, actually not recycling, but will be always on the move. New people, new cars, every day, every time. Old cars out, old people out, but still in between you'll have some people staying for a relatively long time. Number 5, this is the most hated job by those who do it. I have never seen a job that is hated so much by its employees like this job. I have interviewed so many drivers that I can tell you, it is just that some of them want to be nice in front of the camera because sometimes they fear that once they are watched out there by the public, and they fear Bolt is watching, Uber is watching, and Bolt are very notorious in terms of blocking drivers who do not follow their terms. So some of them feel like they could be blocked out of the platform if they showed their frustration in front of camera when I'm interviewing them. But deep inside, I can tell you 90% of the drivers I talk to, they don't appreciate the job that they do. Some of them will do it because they have to, but they cannot praise that job on a neutral ground. If you find them in a place whereby they don't feel like they are at any risk of, not at any risk of them getting in trouble with Bolt and Uber, they would tell you the truth that they don't love the job that they do. So in the history of all the jobs I have done, in the history of the people I have known for the many years I have been alive, I have not seen a sector that is hated so much by the people who work in it. Drivers in this country, in this city of Nairobi, who drive taxi, they don't love that job and they don't speak good about it. That is from my experience. Point number 6 is that taxi driving is one of the most misunderstood job by the people who do it. You get my point? Actually, I have come to realize that a lot of drivers don't know how this business works. They don't know how it was designed to operate. They actually don't understand how discounts work, how commissions work, how trips are offered. They don't understand the whole business model of digital taxi driving. Of course, as we mentioned, this is an industry filled by people from all corners without specific qualification. So it is understood that a lot of people did not take time to analyze how this business works, how this business can give you the maximum potential you can get from this business, how to handle your emotions when things are not going the right way or when things are going exactly the way you want. You get my point? So a lot of drivers are just here by mistake. They found themselves driving, but a lot of them don't have a strategy into the long term, into understanding and into appreciating what the industry can offer. So you find a lot of drivers complain for things that they should not complain about, and they don't complain for things that literally they should be complaining about. So I find that a lot of drivers don't understand how the whole of ecosystem should work. They don't have a strategy to optimize their earnings. They don't have a strategy to ensure that they get the best while driving for the shortest time, So they don't understand completely how this business works. But for me, if I would do this business full time, of course, I don't call myself an expert, but I would have to understand how it works. I cannot complain, for instance, about discounts that riders get. If you have a driver genuinely complaining about the discounts, that is a driver who has no idea about how these platforms work. Point number 7. I have found that becoming a taxi driver in Kenya is a replacement of emergency fund. And this one, I have done a video before. I said that there are some personal finance coaches that preach the importance of emergency fund. Emergency fund is money that you should set aside, that in case you lose your job, that money can keep you going for at least 6 months. And this money is computed from, what you spend on your most basic needs. That is food, housing, maybe transport, and maybe education for your kids, like mandatory bills that you have to pay. So that is, you look at the month, if you need like 60,000 per month for mandatory bills, then you need to save equal amount that can sustain you for 6 months. And 6 months is estimated to be the minimum time that a person can take in Kenya before you get the next job if you lose one right now. So I have seen that a lot of people right now, they don't care so much about having an emergency fund, because they say, as long as I have a driving license, I have a public service badge, then if I lose my job tomorrow, of course, I'll become a taxi driver. And of course, the taxi driving will give me like 50K per month. So I don't need to save for that emergency moment when probably someone loses their job. And for me, that makes a lot of sense, because we don't need to stick to like emergency fund. It is this direction and everyone must go that. The idea is that you have to make sure that you are covered, for your mandatory bills for that time you are out of employment. If you have a way to get that covered, then you don't have to go the traditional way of having an emergency fund. Number 8. This is the most important experience is your experience. There is no enough information I can share with you about how to optimize earnings as a driver, about how to invest in this business, because every time you speak with a driver, you will get a different perspective of the industry, even things that I had never imagined before, given my experience, especially in interviewing drivers. So some things need to come from individuals. You, as a person who desires to become a driver, take time and study the industry. Listen to the 50 plus drivers that I have brought on my platform. Listen to them, hear what they are saying, But again, build your own strategy so that you will have your own experience. Don't get into this business because of the experience of another driver. Don't get into this business because of the experience that I share with you about my personal experience. You will, this is a business that does not have what we call a work culture. When you go, for instance, to these big corporations, they have their, their corporate culture. They say inside this company, we don't do this, we dress this, these are our, branding colors, everything. It's very easy, like, to ring fence people's character in an organization. But within the industry of taxi driving, you cannot ring fence people's behavior. You cannot ring fence people's characters. People will do what they want. They will go home when they want. They will probably speak to customers and to clients the way they want. And at the end of the day, how they choose to carry themselves will give different results. So the thing, what I'm saying here is that the most important experience is your experience. You might listen to so many drivers, but when you get there behind the wheel, you being the driver, your story will be different. So be ready to make your own story out of what you want to be seen out there. Then, the 9 most important thing is that no matter the critics of the industry, we all have to appreciate that Uber, Bolt, and others have eased movements in Nairobi, whether we want it or not. You find yourself in an emergency situation, you find yourself in a certain corner, and it is raining or it is late at night. You cannot jump into a public service vehicle like a matatu. Uber, Bolt, they have come to rescue. Whether we like the level of income that this industry is giving to our drivers, whether we like the level of income that it gives to investors in terms of those who buy cars, whether we like that or not, the reality is that this business should stay. Whether it is spearheaded by Uber or Bolt or Faras, we don't care. But the model of digital taxi driving is one that we need in Kenya so bad. Either in Nairobi for it to expand even 10 times the size of its size right now, or if it goes beyond Nairobi and into other cities within Kenya, it's something that is so much welcome, and we cannot deny the impact of this service into our economy in terms of easing movements. And then point number 10. Point number 10 is yours. I leave you to comment there in the comment section. Tell me, out of the 9 points I have highlighted here, which one do you agree with? Which one do you disagree with? Or maybe in addition, what can you add as one of the most important things you have learned about taxi business in Nairobi, either as a driver, as an investor, or just as a rider? I mean the passenger. Have a good day.